What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning on in. I got a little bit of a different one here for you. I'm not much of a vlogger, but by the thumbnail and the title, you've seen I'm going to be taking you through some preparation for the next World Long Drive tournament. I've always kind of been interested to see what other people do in prep for coming into competition days, and I've never really seen someone post that, so I thought it'd be pretty interesting, and I'll just do it. So in this video, we're going to take you to the driving range. I'm going to walk you through my swing thoughts and feels on some different club combinations and what I'm going to want to hit once we get down to Utah. I'm not really going to focus too much on speed today. Really want to figure out spin, launch, and height conditions for different air and different altitude for down in Utah. So let's get to the driving range. Long drive is just, it's such a crazy game because there's only one event a month. I can't go to all of them. The expense is quite high, especially in the amateur division. And if your swing's not feeling good on that one day, you're screwed, which is crazy. Like 2 weeks ago, my swing was feeling so good. Like I was super happy with where everything was at. All my numbers were dialed in. We were fast. I was hitting the center of the face. It was great. And I was like, sweet, Colorado is going to be an awesome event. And then 3 days ago, everything collapsed. I was hitting these huge block fades, massive spin, these charity events. I wasn't hitting good balls, and the swing just felt like it fell apart. Today, it feels like we're getting it dialed back in. I'm feeling pretty good, but that's just the crazy thing is you could spend all that money and travel all that way and hit 12 bad golf balls and write yourself off for the entire tournament. I am really finding the center of the grid right now. Well, center of the driving range. I'm pretending there's a center of a grid out there and playing for a couple different shot shapes. I think once I'm hitting Bridgestone E9s, the spin will come down probably 800 RPM. Ball speed will jump 5-ish miles an hour maybe. I could not go out and place those balls any closer. The last 5 shots, the balls are probably touching. Another one literally right down the pipe. Hello, Main Street. Let's go. These are really, really good no wind balls. Those are both absolutely perfect. I mean, Flightscope's out to fucking lunch. 7,000 RPM of spin, that said. And I'm hitting a TSR 4 with a 15-gram weight in the front of the face. The other difficult thing with knowing what equipment to hit and when is I don't really have a coach. Well, I shouldn't say I don't really have a coach. I don't have a coach. I don't have a coach. I don't have a club fitter. I don't have a team. I have nothing. I have a very inaccurate launch monitor that doesn't really tell me anything. So I basically just have to look at these garbage pinnacle range balls flying in the air and kind of guess, okay, that spin looks like where I want it and whatnot, which is too bad because it sucks to spend $4 grand on a launch monitor and have it not be accurate. Caught that one really toey, little open face, so it went high and a bit left. So I don't love that, but it was forgiving enough that it still would have found a grid. So you know what, even if you can hit a poor one and it's in the grid, it frees you up for the next balls. We are going to put the XR16 in the Patterson LD30 because this will give a really good back-to-back comparison on what I just hit, because I was hitting the same shaft with the TSR4 head, and that was at an A4 cog setting in the Titleist, so that was 7.25 degrees. This one we're going to just put right at standard neutral, so that's 5 degrees with this, and let's hit some shots. Right now I'm focusing on, I slowed down a lot of other people's swings, like looking at Justin James and Kyle and those guys. I feel like before impact, I almost want to be as weightless as possible. So it's impossible to do standing still, but I basically want my hip already fired, basically my pelvis pointing at the target, right before impact. And I want to have next to no weight on the ground, all of the force into the club head traveling through the ball. So right now, when this foot comes up off the ground, my lead foot, it's right after I hit the ball. If I can make that jump and have my lead foot get out of the way right before I hit the ball, I think there's room for improvement there. Yeah, I hammered that. I'm going to slow down that swing and actually probably replay it because I really felt like I rotated really well and got the weight out of the way early enough. Hit so well. I love this driver. I just wish I could find another 5-degree head somewhere because I don't hit crank drivers well at all, and they work for some people. I've seen lots of people use them with success, so nothing to say bad about the company. It's just I don't hit them well. It's the same reason why some people might not hit a TaylorMade Stealth well, and that's why they go with a Paradigm, or vice versa. So the only unfortunate thing is there's such a limited left-hand long drive head supply, and that's basically only crank. Brute doesn't make them, Callaway doesn't make them, no one has them. That's such a good ball flight. Ah, you skinny motherfucker. I would actually be so curious to see other people like vlog their speed sessions and just go through their swing thoughts, or if they call themselves an absolute idiot like I do for hitting bad golf shots. Still bad. All right, we are back from the driving range. This is actually the day after that content that you just watched because I'm bad at vlogging and I totally forgot to film anything when I got home. So we've since had another range session, and I wanted to talk a little bit about my club choice on the two different options that we're looking at. So we have the Patterson Velocity LD30 for both shafts. That's going to stay as the constant. I love that shaft. It's what works great for me. The two different heads that we can go with, we have the Callaway XR16, which is the 5-degree long drive head that Callaway made. I think it's like an 8 or 10-year-old head. We then also have a brand new Titleist TSR4 with a 13-gram weight in the front side. Looking at both of them, I've kind of come to the conclusion after these few range sessions that the XR16 is the play. The 5-degree head is just so much nicer with that ability to turn it down to 3 if the wind conditions change. It spins lower, it launches higher, and the ball speed just seems better on that Callaway, which is shocking because at that old of technology, you'd think that a brand new TSR4 would just feel better off the face, like have more pop. I can shape the Titleist a little bit better and place balls in certain areas a bit better, but ball speed generation is way down on that Titleist compared to the Callaway head. So since the shafts are a constant, they're identical, and all the swings are around the same speed, the smash factor and ball speed is just quite a bit higher on the Callaway. So that's what we're going to roll with going into the competition. But check out the next clips here where I have another range session, because in that, someone noticed me on the range. We're going to get a little bonus video going in this one for you guys where the Flightscope goes up against another radar-based launch monitor for a little head-to-head competition. And I think the results are actually going to shock you. So as some of you guys know, I can't remember what I talk about in some of these vlogs, but we've had a little bit of inaccuracies with Flightscope lately. So I've been working with some guys from their team, sending logs back and forth, trying to figure out what data points are off and why. So take that whole thing with a grain of salt. If you're curious to see some videos or reviews on the Flightscope and my work with them, smash the sub button, like the video, do all that like YouTuber shit. Oh my God. Well, it's a good thing no one's on the first hole.
Club speed is 129.6 miles per hour.
It's not fair he brings his own coach.
Hey, it's only a coach if I could actually get better. It doesn't do a whole lot when I just put one onto the first fairway.
Club speed is 133.2 miles per hour. Club speed is 134.1 miles per hour. Club speed is 137.0 miles per hour.
Like, this is what I'm talking about. This is the golf balls that we get. Look at that. Can we see that? That is the quality you can expect at reportedly the #1 nicest course in British Columbia. Garbage. Absolute garbage. I would say I find at least 4 broken golf balls every time I come to the range. It's stupid.
Club speed is 131.3 miles per hour. Club speed is 132.1 miles per hour. Ready.
Out of curiosity.
Club speed is 128.0
Sure.
miles per hour.
All right, Voice Caddy SC300 versus Flightscope.
Yeah.
This will be interesting. I've never put radar to radar ever to test and see.
I didn't bring mine.
Club speed is 131.0 miles
That's
per
pretty
hour.
close. Okay, so Flightscope got 131 and that got 130.
Yeah.
190 ball speed.
190, yeah. What's your ball speed?
I'd have to check the actual. It says 188 on mine.
190. That's close.
That's pretty close, yeah.
So.
Yeah, and launch was, yeah, it's about 15 degrees.
Yeah.
That's, yeah, pretty solid. I can try one more and just.
Yeah, but it's kind of cool to put them side by side and see how.
That apex I don't think was 200 feet in the air though.
No.
That
Yeah.
one wasn't,
Yeah.
it was a bit lower than that. That one's closer to 2, that one's like 180 feet.
Club speed is 130.0 miles per hour.
So identical. The 130 and 130.
Yeah.
And that had 188 ball. Mine's 188.2 and that's 188.6. This says apex 133. I'm curious to see what the apex
Yeah, see, just.
height. This says 157 and the last one, yeah, so the last one my height only said 98 and yours says 199.
This one's
But
better.
yeah, I mean, yours, it was closer to 199 than it was to 98.
Yeah, yeah.
The last one was.
Yeah.
So
So just heads up for you if you
Yeah.
ever have to get another one.
which is interesting
They're
because
like $500.
right.
$500 to $700.
Yeah. Yeah, because reading those, I mean, that doesn't do club data like the
No.
club path and face alignment,
No.
but if Flightscope is inaccurate with that anyway,
Yeah. But
it doesn't matter. So yeah, no, that's pretty interesting. Yeah. Thanks for letting me try it out.
no worries.
It's a fun little experiment. So that was kind of interesting. A guy just popped out on the range. He had to get going. He's got a tee time like right now, but he had the swing caddy something, and we just threw it up right up beside the Flightscope. He did almost no target alignment, no setup, just tossed it down, said here, hit a couple shots, just to compare it against the Flightscope. Identical club and ball speed numbers, pretty close anyway. But the carry on that swing caddy was vastly more accurate. And we didn't really have time to dive too much into the numbers because he was just teeing off. But I remember seeing a 331 and like a 335 or something on the swing caddy, which is pretty normal for me. And then I looked back at the flight scope and it was like 280 something, or I can't remember what shot number it was now, but like flight scope was, what is that, 50 yards off of a carry? It's unbelievable how far off flight scope is. There we go. We're gonna end on that one. So good.
Club speed is 126.3
No, it
miles per
wasn't.
hour.
It was way faster
Ready.
than that. And it says it only carried 297. And it's set for Denver altitude at 5,000 feet. Like at home, where I am now, that should have carried 330. Denver altitude, that should be 360. This thing's just ridiculous. Sucks. All right, let's get out of here.